Kevin Feige just dropped some major details about Tom Holland's next Spider-Man film, Spider-Man Brand New Day, and guess what? The fans may have just won. So let's break down everything he said in case you missed his interview and explain why this is a massive W for Spider-Man fans, you and me, across the board. This is absolutely awesome. Just check out what Kevin Feige has said. So the general consensus from this interview with Kevin Feige is that we're finally getting the proper Spider-Man that fans have wanted for so many years now. None of this MCU shenanigans. We're actually getting a street and grounded level Spider-Man story. And people have been saying this for years. People have been speculating, but no, it's actually true. Yes, the evidence has been suggesting with John Berthnell's Punisher being cast in the movie, but now Kevin Feige has finally confirmed what we've all been thinking for years. In an interview with Collider, Kevin Feige went on to say this: him being himself dedicated to saving the city and dealing with, for lack of better terms, street level crime. That is a quote ripped straight from the interview when Kevin Feige was asked about Spider-Man 4. And yes, he is going to be dealing with street level crime, and that is what the movie is going to be about. Oh my god, thank god. I don't even care who the villain is. I don't care that the Punisher's in the movie. I don't know if the Hulk's gonna be in the movie. I don't care, right? I don't even care anymore. This is exactly what we wanted. We all know what the fans have been complaining about for the longest time. Spider-Man's meant to be a neighborhood hero. He's meant to be the one that goes in and saves the little kid from the car, or stops a robbery from the local bank or the local grocery store, or something like that. Spider-Man isn't meant to be this big multiversal character. He's meant to be just this kid who liked saving people because of his responsibility to, well, in this universe, Aunt May and Uncle Ben. And in some ways, it's kind of special that we've ended up here. The MCU version of this character has his arc almost go backwards. He's dealt with all the big stuff, the multiverse stuff, the Avengers stuff. He's dealt with all of that techie stuff that Spider-Man has usually in his later years, but now we're almost going back to basics. We're almost soft rebooting the character, and the more I learn about this film and after these Kevin Feige quotes, I sort of feel like that's where they are going. And exactly what I've just said was actually reiterated with Feige in the interview as well. He also went on to say that he will be dealing with street level crime as opposed to world-ending events. Of course, the multiverse, Kang, the Celestials, the Avengers, Thanos, all that kind of stuff that's been happening over the last 10 years of the MCU's history has sort of warped Spider-Man into a space that the fans kind of deem unfamiliar. But now we are taking a step back, and even Kevin Feige himself has realized that this character needs to go in a different direction, and that's exactly what is happening. I also just want to briefly mention as well, not only is this a massive win for the fans, but this is also a massive win for Kevin Feige himself, and I'll explain why. If you guys remember, maybe even a year back now, Marvel and Sony were battling over what Spider-Man 4, aka Spider-Man Brand New Day, was going to be. We had two camps, we had two sides of one ever-flipping coin. On one side of the argument was Marvel, who wanted, according to the reports, Spider-Man 4 to be this street-level grounded story, with villains like Scorpion, Mr. Negative, Kingpin, all linked within the film. And on the other side of the argument was Sony Pictures, who of course have a massive hand in the Spider-Man films and also own the character film rights to Spider-Man, who wanted the film to link to their Venom franchise and wanted Null to be the main villain of the film, which supposedly meant that they wanted Tom Hardy's Venom to cross over into Spider-Man 4. And even though this internal battle was never publicized and it was never confirmed and they were only rumors within the fandom, these reports were scattered all over the internet and all over forums for months and months and months. And I couldn't look past them. I refused to believe that there wasn't some ounce of truth in those reports. And if they did end up to be true, then Kevin Feige has essentially won, because Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios, it was reported, wanted Spider-Man 4 to be a grounded Peter Parker story, whereas Sony wanted to tap back into the multiverse because of the success of Spider-Man No Way Home. But from these Kevin Feige quotes, it seems like we have won as fans, and Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios have also gotten their way, which is absolutely awesome to see. And I think if there was any doubt in anyone's mind, the only question I've got to pose to you guys is, would you rather Spider-Man to fight a bunch of aliens in the next movie, or deal with street level crime with Punisher, maybe Daredevil, etc. I think if we go down to the comment section and see what people want, I think we are going to be swayed one way 100%. Let's move on to that reveal that the Punisher will be in Spider-Man 4. This kind of came out of nowhere. People were expecting it to be Daredevil, maybe even Haley Steinfeld's Hawkeye. But it turns out that the Punisher is actually going to be in Spider-Man Brand New Day, and that is really, really awesome. Here's what Feige had to say. And of course, I love that the Punisher started in a Spider-Man comic. That's a great cover. I don't want to say too much, but Destin is doing an amazing job right now on that movie, which starts shooting very, very soon. If you guys didn't know, the Punisher actually started in the Spider-Man comic books. He was originally from the Amazing Spider-Man 129 from 1974. The main conflict of that story had Frank Castle, aka the Punisher, be hired to actually take out and kill Spider-Man. Of course, the main moral underlying conflict is the fact that Frank Castle is an anti-hero, and of course he will kill to bring justice to whoever he sees fit. Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, doesn't have a kill rule, which puts these characters at conflict with one another. And I think if I was going to guess what role Punisher will play in Spider-Man 4, I imagine that conflict of morality might actually be a big player in this film. As we know in Spider-Man No Way Home, Peter had a moment where he almost killed Norman Osborn until Tobey Maguire's version of Spider-Man stopped him. And I think that could maybe play into Spider-Man 4, where Peter's no-kill rule could maybe be at the forefront of his story in this movie. Of course, John Berthnall's Punisher being at the other end of that spectrum could also be really interesting in contrast to Peter's character arc. Either way, we'll just have to see what role the Punisher plays in Spider-Man 4. Either way, Kevin Feige is excited for it, and that means I'm excited for it. The last thing that Kevin Feige went on to talk about was the art direction that Destin Daniel Cretton, the director of the movie, would be taking Spider-Man 4. He went on to mention that apparently the director has 8 or 9 of the original comic covers on his wall, inspiring him for the art of the movie. And this, of course, will be cinematography. This will be the way the film is edited, the way the film looks, the way the film's color graded. And I think that's really interesting that he's taking inspiration from those old comic book covers. What comic book covers could they be? Well, I imagine we're looking at Brand New Day. I imagine we're looking at One More Day. I imagine we're looking at Spider-Man No More, potentially even Back in Black. That type of vibe for this movie. Based on everything we know about this movie, I imagine those are going to be some big art inspirations. Obviously, we don't know what they are, but I think if I was to take a guess, I imagine those would be the sort of covers that we'd be looking at. Either way, Spider-Man Brand New Day is looking absolutely awesome, and as fans, we've won. And as of this video's recording, this movie is going to be filming in 10 days. So yes, we are going to be getting major updates over the next year, so make sure you subscribe to the channel because we're going to be covering it all on here as we've been doing for many, many years now. But either way, thank you very much for watching this video. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of Spider-Man Brand New Day. Are you excited for the Punisher to be in the movie? And has Kevin Feige given you the ultimate hype that this will finally be a street level story? Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care and peace.